Hello, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and welcome to a world tour of the world that I have built in my second 1 billion Iron Ingot challenge. Now, this world is played with the FTB Revelations mod pack 2.6.0 for Minecraft version 1.12.2, along with a couple of mods that I've added, which are Nuclear Craft and Funky Locomotion. So let's dive into exactly what we're seeing right here. Right here is my old base, and it just consists of a few buildings and a couple of other automations here, of which the sheep shearing automation over here is still running. So let's dive in, and this building right here houses a smeltery, which I use from Tinker's Construct to actually make ender pearls. And on the left here, I have my original building that I made at the very beginning of this series. As you can see, it just houses some chests and some furnaces and stuff. And right here is the workshop that I used for the first week or week and a half of my series. As you can see, there are thermal expansion machines around, and there's also an applied energetic system right here and another applied energetic system over here. Now, this applied energetic system over here is something that I actually still use because I use it to make processors for the mod applied energetics. And as we can see right here, it still has some processors in it, which I have not actually taken out yet. And this system right here is not connected to my main system, which is at my main base, and that's where I'm going to be taking you next. So this is my main base, and there are 10 buildings here, and there is a lot going on, so let's dive down and take a closer look at exactly what's going on down here. So first off, let's go to the iron building, because this is the building that I have spent the most time at in my series, and that's because it houses my ME terminal, and it also houses my capacitor bank, or at least the visible part of my capacitor bank, which shows me exactly how much energy my entire system here is using. So first off, let's take a look. I actually do have 1.3 billion iron ingots as of right now, and as you can see, it's going up awfully quickly. And that's because everything is still running here. So let's actually go beneath the streets right now and take a look at a little bit of the plumbing underneath my base. And that's because my giant capacitor, which pops up into my iron building up there, actually spans the entirety of my base underneath the streets here, along with a lot of the plumbing for my ME system. So now that you can see that, let's take a look at the magnesium building here. And I'm also going to lump in the thorium building, which is this building right here, along with the boron building here, because the magnesium, the boron, and the thorium buildings all house a lot of the same stuff, and that would be nuclear craft fission reactors. Now, as we can see, this fission reactor right here produces 156,000 RF per tick, but I have a bunch of fission reactors in all of these buildings. The 3 buildings I just mentioned, that is, and they all use different fuels, but they all produce a lot of RF, or a lot of energy, in other words. So down here in the first basement of this building, I actually have several systems going on. I have a system right here to capture hydrogen, or actually oxygen, and then I have systems over here that actually make fuels for the fission reactors. As we can see, this produces LEU-233 oxide fuel. But there are other fuels that are made. Also, there is a storage system for a lot of the nuclear craft different isotopes of fuels are kept down here as well. And in this building or in this basement, I guess, there's more storage, and there's also a system to make stuff that I needed for nuclear craft fusion reactors, which we will see later on in this tour. So actually, if we go down here, there's actually more basements, and if we continue to go down, this is the main production facility of my entire base. So there are 36 tier 6 void ore miners down here, and they are all kept fully powered all the time. They all are connected up to the main capacitor above through this flux duct here, and each individual void ore miner also has a capacitor attached to it, which shows how much energy that particular void ore miner is using over here. And I should mention that each tier 6 void ore miner, I believe, can produce 4 blocks per second. And so if you do 36 times 4, that's a lot of blocks each and every second of the day. And I should also mention that each of my void ore miners has the white laser lens, which produces more iron ore than just using a regular clear laser lens, if you're familiar with the mod Environmental Tech. So that's what's going on in my magnesium building here, along with the thoron and the thorium and boron building, excuse me. So next, let's take a look at the emerald building right here. This houses some of the automation for my applied energistic system. A lot of the basic crafting recipes are over here in these ME interfaces and connected to the molecular assemblers. There's also some item storage down here. If we go into the basement of this building, there's yet more item storage, and there are also more molecular assemblers attached to ME interfaces. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff being stored down here, a lot of lapis, coal, etc., etc. Just pretty much things I have a lot of are stored in this building. So in the Certus Quartz building right here, I have some automation tie-ins to the mod thermal expansion as well as Ender IO. Now, basically, if you've played with applied energistics before and kind of really got into it, you can automate a lot of things with the mod. So I've automated thermal expansion machines. Over here I have more thermal expansion machines, but they are actually fluid transposers, or at least mostly fluid transposers, so that I can make some of them more complicated crafts from thermal expansion. So if we go into the basement here, I actually do have a system to make bliss powder, I believe, right here, and that uses the solidified experience that I'm getting elsewhere. And this system over here is actually capable of automating or automatically making prismarine shards and restonia crystals. Now this system could be used to make other things from the mod actually additions, but I don't have any of that programmed just yet. So let's move on to let's do this red concrete building real fast. There's not a whole lot going on here. There are laser drills from the mod Industria foregoing and laser bases. As we can see, we actually just made an iron ore block right there. And that will be processed in a different facility into iron ingots, obviously. And down here, I have a capacitor, which basically measures how much energy the system is using. It only uses about 7,500 RF per tick, which is not much. So next, let's take a look at the gold building, which is a workshop that I built early on when I made this base. This is just a manual workshop. I just plop things in this chest if I want it to be something to be furnaced, this chest if I want something to be pulverized, and then I have some other machines over here, which I can use manually. In the diamond building, I have a spawner. Right now, I'm spawning blazes, wither skeletons, and blizz, I believe, are the things I'm spawning. I might even be spawning skeletons. I'm not 100. I am spawning skeletons. Okay, so that's that building. The copper building is used for ore processing. Now, this building has a lot going on. On this first floor, I have things that I just throw into the pulverizer, such as yellowite ore, gold ore, etc., etc. Down here in the basement, I actually have most of my iron ore processing. So the iron ore gets processed in two different ways in this basement. The first of which is in the induction smelters right here. I use rich slag and blazing pyrotheum, and I actually get 4 iron ingots for every iron ore I put in here. So that's obviously really good yield. Over here, I have a separate system that kind of pulverizes the iron ore into pulverized iron, and I'm using enhanced sag mills for that. And this system yields 3.5 pulverized iron for each iron ingot I throw in there, so that's pretty fantastic. And that system does require vibrant alloy, which needs ender pearls. So I set up this awesome tinker smeltery right here to automatically make ender pearls, and this thing is always active, as we can see right now. So it's pretty fantastic, and that actually uses resonant endstone to make ender pearls. So I really thought that was a nifty build. So the second floor up here is my redstone furnaces, and basically all of my pulverized iron, my pulverized gold, pulverized silver, whatever else I pulverize, it goes to the furnaces here to get smelted. On the third floor here, we have some induction smelters, which process tin ore and aluminum ore. Now, as a byproduct of this processing mechanism, I actually get an iron ingot as the secondary output for both of those processes, and so that's why that's separated, or those two ores are separated from the other ores in ore processing. Oh my goodness. So this fourth floor right here is used to process lapis lazuli and nether quartz ore, and that is because I am using the system to get rich slag. As we can see here, it is producing rich slag, and that rich slag is used in the bottom basement to actually process my iron ore. So that's all that's going on at this base, I believe, other than, oh, there's one more thing. In my boron building, there's one additional thing that I don't have in my magnesium building or my thorium building, and that would be this environmental tech tier 6 solar array. Now, this thing produces a absolutely mammoth amount of power. It can produce, if we right click it, 1.7 million RF per tick, but obviously that's only during the day. I also have a quantum quarry over here, which is not on right now, but I was using that for a short time to mine some stuff automatically. So basically, that's what's going on at my main base. So next off, I am going to take you to my Cobblestone Corporation, or what I like to call Cobblestone or Cobble Corp, and I believe that is a really nifty build. Here is Cobble Corp, which is another way that I automatically get resources. Now, this system uses several things, mostly from the mod actually additions, to make resources. Now, first off, there are 3 things going on in quick succession right here. First off, there is an auto placer, which places down a block of stone. Next off, we have an atomic reconstructor, which lasers the block of stone and turns it into an ore of various types, of which you can see some iron in there. And next off, we have an auto breaker underneath, which breaks the block, and then that is carried into modular storage units, which are down here, which are connected to import buses, and those import buses are connected to my main system through these covered cables here, and that takes the resources back to my main base. So there's a little bit more going on down here as well. We have these redstone furnaces, which are connected to automatic cobblestone generators, which I cannot see in any way, shape, or form right now. But trust me, they're there, and we can see that the redstone furnaces constantly have a supply of cobblestone, which they turn into stone, which are then automatically taken into the auto placers up above. And right here we have the redstone control mechanism for the entire system. So obviously all of the auto placers, the atomic reconstructors, and the auto breakers are all controlled by redstone pulses, which are controlled by this timer and this little system right here. So this timer goes off once every 12 ticks, and it sets off a chain of events. So the first redstone pulse is actually received right here, which goes to the auto placers and places down the block of stone. The second thing that activates would be the atomic reconstructors, which are controlled by this particular redstone relay. And then lastly, the auto breakers are controlled by this redstone relay, and all of that is controlled by simply having redstone repeaters set with 1 tick of delay and then 2 ticks of delay. So that's what's going on at Cobblestone Corporation, and yeah, this is just another way to get automatic resources, and I really thought this was pretty cool. So next, I'm going to show you my industrial craft base, which includes a lot of nuclear reactors. So this is my Industrial Craft 2 base, and it consists of 5 different buildings which do different things. So first off, let's take a look at the Black Quartz building. This is kind of the brains of the operation here. This is a terminal which connects up to my main Applied Energistics ME system, and down below we have some machines from the mod Industrial Craft 2, which are tied to my main Applied Energistics system. So if I were to request things that need to be made by these machines, I can do that. And there are ME interfaces which we cannot see behind the walls, which tie those machines to my main ME system. So this lithium building over here houses 2 nuclear craft reactors, which provide EU for the machines over here. And I believe they also provide EU for the machines over in my uranium building as well. And now Nuclear Craft is a really cool mod that you can use to produce both RF and EU, which are 2 completely different energy systems used by different mods in Minecraft. So that's why I used, or that's part of the reason why I used Nuclear Craft reactors over there. It was just kind of my getting started energy source for over here. So this is the uranium building. This is a separate Applied Energistics ME system, and this system is used to make the fuel rods that I use in my nuclear reactors, which are in the remaining 2 buildings. So down here in the basement is where actually the fuel rods are crafted. There's a lot going on down here. There are some thermal expansion machines. There are a lot of industrial craft machines, as well as some storage. But anyways, I'm not going to dive too deep into the details there. If you really want to see what's going on, there are a couple of episodes that I have in my series in which I actually built that out. So in my lead building here, I actually have, I don't know, something like 17 nuclear reactors over here, and they are all formatted like this. They all have quad uranium fuel rods with LCH condensators. They do produce a lot of power, 1680 EU per tick, which is quite a bit. And all of that power goes down to my scrap factory, which is in the basement here. So I have a bunch of recyclers with automatic cobblestone generators from the mod nuclear craft underneath them, which injects the recyclers with cobblestone, which is then turned into scrap, and all of that scrap is transported to 2 different crafters over here, which make scrap boxes, and then the scrap boxes are taken and put into the black hole unit right here. Now, those scrap boxes are actually used in the last building in this base, which is my iron building over here. And this iron building houses 240 nuclear reactors, which are all configured like so. Now, they all have 4 of the dual MOX fuel rods, and they produce anywhere from 424 EU per tick to, I believe, 443 EU per tick, and that's just kind of dependent upon how hot I got the reactors before I dropped in the rest of the heat vents. But all of that power goes to matter fabricators, which are on each floor. There are actually 3 floors here, and all 3 floors are set up the exact same. Scrap boxes are inserted into matter fabricators. The matter fabricators make UU matter, which is then transported over to replicators, which are used to make iron ore, which obviously is used to make iron ingots. So next, I'm going to tour my nuclear craft fusion base, so stay tuned. This is my nuclear craft fusion base, and there are 3 buildings here, of which only one of them actually has fusion reactors. So first, let's take a look at the actual building with the fusion reactors. There are actually 6 fusion reactors in this building. The first floor, which houses a hydrogen-hydrogen fusion reactor. The second floor houses a deuterium-deuterium reactor. And the third floor, and let me catch up to my speech real fast, houses 4 different reactors which use 4 different fuel types, and they are hydrogen lithium 6, deuterium lithium 7 is over there, deuterium and tritium is right there, and then deuterium and helium 3 is right there. Now, all 4 of these reactors up here produce quite a bit of power, except for the hydrogen lithium 6 reactor. It produces a decent amount of power. But let's take a look at the basement real fast at what's going on down there, because there's a lot going on down here. So as we can see, there are actually, 5 capacitors down here. So this capacitor right here is the main I/O capacitor for the fusion reactors. Basically, this measures how much energy I'm producing at this base. As we can see right now, it's 2.3 million RF per tick. That's quite a bit. So over here we have a capacitor, and over here we also have a capacitor. These 2 capacitors do the same thing. They measure the energy usage of the electrolyzers next to them. This line of electrolyzers creates deuterium, and that line of electrolyzers over there creates hydrogen. Okay, so these capacitors over here, this capacitor measures the amount of energy that the, where are they? The fusion electromagnets use. So yeah, as we can see, this bounces around quite a bit, but it's somewhere between 300,000 RF per tick and 100,000 RF per tick at any one given time. Usually it hovers somewhere around 200,000 RF per tick. But anyways, this last capacitor over here is a jumpstart capacitor for my fusion reactors. Now, if you've ever played with nuclear craft, you've played with the fusion reactors, you know that the fusion reactors actually need a large amount of power to get started, and this capacitor just basically is used to do just that when it is needed. All I need to do is flip this lever if one of my reactors is down, and I can get it some power so I can restart it. So that's what's going on in this main building here. So there are 2 other buildings, and this building right here is a rather neat mob spawner that I built. It uses the mod Funky Locomotion and extra utilities spikes, along with an Ender IO spawner or 2, to actually kill zombies. So I felt like that was a really cool build, just because normally it's pretty easy to put together a mob spawner. But I like the moving blade concept and the mobile death concept. So anyways, right here is a personal nanobot beacon, and it is used to give me a bunch of buffs, as we can see right here: water breathing, speed, strength, a bunch of things. So basically, I'm unkillable because of this nanobot beacon. So that's what's going on at my nuclear craft fusion base. Next, I will be taking a look at my Botania base. So this is my Botania base, and there's not a whole lot going on over here, although there is a little bit going on, so I decided to go ahead and show this. This is a system that automatically creates mana from coal using End of Flames, and all of that mana is used by this orchid right here, which turns this stone block into different ore blocks, as we just saw it create a coal block. Sometimes we get iron ore blocks, not very often, but you know, it does produce a little bit. Over here was just basically me progressing through the mod. There's a lot of mana pools, some more End of Flames, and Runic Altar, as well as this terrestrial agglomeration system. Over here, I have a system to automatically make living wood and living rock. All I have to do to use this system is throw in wood or stone blocks into this modular storage unit, and then the system will automatically create living rock or living wood. So that's basically all that's going on over at my Botania base. So as you can see, there is a lot going on in this world. I'm actually going to leave a world download in the description, so go ahead and click on that, and you can play around with this world if you want. If you don't want to, that's fine. Also, I'm going to leave a link to another video that I'm going to make, giving instructions for actually downloading the world and then using the world. So if you do want to use the world, definitely follow the link and watch the video. It shouldn't be too long, and it will basically tell you exactly how to get the world up and running effectively. So anyways, if you liked this world tour, definitely give it a like. If you like watching automation type stuff in modern Minecraft, definitely consider subscribing to my channel. If you want to watch me build any of the systems which I just showed off in this video, definitely subscribe, and then look up my second 1 billion iron ingot challenge playlist and look up anything that tickles your fancy, and you can watch me build it. So anyways, signing off, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and I will see you next time.